here we are, middle of winter. Winter is not really a great time to do photography. It's often a time of hibernation, you know, because the light isn't usually that great. The sun is further south, and oftentimes it's cloudy or, you know, snowy or whatever. But you shouldn't let the weather kind of dictate or restrict you in terms of your photography. And that's why I thought I would make this video. The theme of the video is how to do landscape photography without having dramatic landscapes around you. When you often see great landscape shots, you think of, you know, amazing mountain ranges or nice calm beaches. But maybe you don't live near a mountain range or near to the beach. So what do you do in that case? What if you live in a flatter place? So I'm here in Toronto. There's rolling hills in Toronto, but there's not that much elevation in terms of mountain ranges. So I thought I'd make a video on how to counteract that. It's tied to the whole idea of, you know, in photography you should be adaptable and use what you have. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use what you have. Now, we don't have dramatic mountain ranges here in Toronto, but we do have a lot of snow, as you can see around me here. This video is inspired by a Japanese photographer called Yuji Hamada, and what he did was essentially he lived in Japan and he received postcards from a friend who lived in Switzerland, and the postcards had these amazing mountain ranges, you know, very dramatic, very awe-inspiring, and obviously flying all the way to Switzerland is quite expensive. You know, he can't go to the mountains aren't going to come to him, so he made mountains to photograph. He took the most basic of materials, some aluminum foil, and shaped it into the shape of a mountaintop. And then he took his camera from a low angle, took pictures of the tinfoil mountain against the sky. Now, because there's no frame of reference on the picture, it's just the mountain and the sky, it actually looks pretty decent. It looks like a real mountain. So I'm going to show you in this video some tips on how to do that, but it's going to be a Canadian version of that video. So instead of using tin foil, we're going to be using snow. Now, whenever there's a big snowfall in Canada, or at least in Toronto, the snow plows are out and all the snow on the roads and the sidewalks gets cleared up and piled up into these massive mountains of snow. They're not that tall. I mean, they're probably as tall as maybe my height or as an average person. But over time, as the weather gets warmer and it stops snowing, the base snow on the pavement clears up, but these mountains remain and they melt and they change with time. And when I was walking by these mountains of snow, I often thought, well, you know, they really do look like real mountains, because it's not a case of it being soft snow, but it's a bit more jagged, more distinct as the snow melts and turns into ice and quasi-snow. It becomes more like a rugged cliff face or a rugged mountainside. So seeing as we have these partly natural, partly man-made mountains around, you can take advantage of that, and taking a page from Yuji Hamada's book, take pictures of these little piles of snow in such a way and such an angle that it actually looks like a mountain. Now, you can't just use any kind of snow, as I mentioned. It has to be snow that's piled up. So if you go to a park such as this one, you can see that there is a lot of snow. However, it's not piled up, it's all flattened out. And you need that kind of elevation difference to make it look like a mountain. So where do you go? There are a couple of places where you can go, and generally you have to think of places that where the snow has to be cleared. So sidewalks is one. Parking lots could be another one. Bus stops is a big one because oftentimes they move all the snow into piles right by the bus stop sign, and you can get some nice triangular piles of ice, which is what you want. You want triangular, or to be more precise, cone-like piles of snow. Once you're there, you have to make sure the lighting is right as well, right? Because to give the mountain a three-dimensional shape, you want there to be shadows. And in order to get shadows, you need harsh light. In order to get harsh light, you need a sunny day. So what are we looking for? We want a sunny day after a big snowfall in a place where snow is piled up. Once you have that, you have your camera and you find these cone-like piles of snow, you can go ahead and take a picture. Now, what settings do you want on your camera? What lens do you want? What focal length? Well, you don't want a lens that's too wide, because if the lens is wide, then you see more of the surroundings of the pile of snow, and then suddenly you realize, hey, it's not a mountain, it's just a pile of snow. So you want a focal length that's a bit more narrow. What I used was a 50mm equivalent. That will give you a nice tight crop on the image without sacrificing image quality. So you've taken your pictures already, and now you want to edit them. Well, I'm going to give you some tips to make the pictures look more dramatic and more like real landscape shots. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've come away with some new ideas for photography to do in the winter time. At the same time, I hope it's allowed you to see things around you in a different way. Some things that are quite mundane, such as piles of snow, when seen from a different angle with different lighting, can be something much greater. And that's the takeaway of this video.